Okay, you are going to get a block of clay. It's going to look a little bit like a cube. And when you get it, you are going to break it in half. So I just twist it. So now I have 2 halves. I'm going to take the bigger of the 2 halves and I'm going to roll it into a ball. While I'm doing this, my clay might feel like it's getting a little dry. If it does, I'm going to set it down, put the tip of my finger in my water, rub a little bit of that water onto the palm of my hand, then pick my clay up to roll it. It does not have to be a perfect circle. That is fine. Now we are going to start on our pinch pot. I'm going to hold my ball of clay in my hand, and I'm going to use the other hand to create a hole. I use my thumb. You can use your finger if you prefer, but I'm going to use my thumb. And I'm just going to push it in until it feels like my thumb is going to pop through the other side. And I'm holding it in my hand because it helps keep it round. Some people like to put it on the table and push into it on the table. That is also fine. That actually might work a little better. Just make sure you don't go all the way through. If you do, it's not a big deal. We can still fix it. So that is how deep my thumb is in there. See that? I can measure it like that. I don't want to go any deeper. So now I'm going to start pinching. Now, a lot of times people pinch up here. We don't want to pinch up here. We want to start at the bottom. So we want our thumb or our finger inside. And then on the outside, we want to support our clay with the rest of our fingers. So I'm going to pinch into my finger. So I'm pinching with my thumb. And what that's going to do is that's going to push the clay up this way, and it's going to spread it out. So it's opening up that hole. Now you can probably see that while I'm pinching, there is some cracking happening with my clay. That is okay. That's perfectly normal when we are working with clay. If your hand gets tired and it starts getting tired right in here or in here, just switch hands. And I make sure when I'm pinching that I rotate all the way around one whole time. Once I've made it around one whole time, I'm gonna move up a little bit, just a little bit, and keep pinching because that's gonna help open up and create a bigger bowl. Okay, so this is good. I pinch until it feels like you can kind of feel the consistency of the walls. They're all about the same thickness. I also kind of use my pinky to measure. If it's a little bit thinner than my pinky, it's just right. So now I want to get rid of these cracks. Again, dip my finger in my water and just kind of rub it out just like that. If it doesn't come out completely, that's fine. We don't want our clay to get too wet because we are going to be using our extra clay in our clay bank here to attach things to this. And if it's too wet, they will not stick. I can also just use my thumb to smooth things out like that. See that? And I didn't really add water to it. I just used my thumb and smooth things out. I can do that here too. Smooth it out. See that? Now I did put water on that rim, so that is helping a little bit. All right, and it's a little bit flat down here. So now I want to turn this into something else. So I'm gonna grab some clay from my clay bank here, pinch a little bit off. I think I'm going to, what am I gonna do with this? I'm gonna make it look a little bit like a fish. All right, so I'm gonna change the shape just a little bit. I'm gonna pinch here, especially. Here, I don't necessarily want to pinch as much because this is the end that the mouth is going to be on. So I'm going to use my pencil and push in a little bit here to make a little bit of a dent where the mouth is. See that? Pretty nifty, right? All right. So to attach things, I pinched off a little bit. I'm going to roll it. Again, if it feels like it's getting dry, a little bit of water. Rub that water on my hand from my finger, roll it together, and I have a nice little ball. Now, that is not the shape of a tail. I want it to be the shape of a tail. I'm gonna pinch it a little bit, or I can place it down on the table and press down on it to pancake it some. And then I'm going to start tapping the sides to make the shape I want. I want this to be more of a triangle size, so I'm gonna tap there. Notice I'm doing all of this on my paper, and that's gonna keep the clay on the paper and off of the table. It just helps keep our workspace a little bit neater. I'm also going to use my pencil to cut right there. Kind of create a little bit of a rip so that I can, oh, it's almost like a little heart. Make that little tail right there. See that? Now, I want to attach these two, so I'm gonna flatten that a little bit. And I'm gonna flatten that side a little bit. And I just do that by tapping. And then I need to scratch to attach. So I'm gonna scratch, scratch, scratch. And I go in two different directions, scratch, scratch, scratch. On this side, then I'm gonna do that on this side as well. Right there. Water. So when we scratch, we create a whole bunch of clay crumbles. We don't want to wipe those off. We want to leave those in place because that helps create that glue-like consistency. Then I'm going to press these two guys together. And I want to make sure that I have a finger here so that I don't distort the shape that I've already made. And then I'm going to just start spreading and smashing this stuff together. See that? Check down here too. I'm gonna actually need to use my pencil for part of this. So give me a second. So I use that pencil and that kind of helps smooth things together. That also smooths out that seam so that it helps it be more like one full piece and not two different pieces. Now, it is a little bit wet. So as you can see, it is a little bit wobbly still. So while it's kind of setting up and getting used to its new location, I'm going to set it face down on my paper because that way it doesn't droop and fall. I'm going to set it down like this, okay? And while it's down, I'm just going to kind of smooth it a little bit more. Go in there a little bit. I'm not going to add too much water. If I add too much water, it's going to get too wet and it's actually going to be counterproductive. It's going to make it easier for this to fall apart. Okay, we want this to get a little bit more solid so that it's nice and sturdy. All right. So I'm also gonna create some little fins. Let me clean that off. All right, just clean that up a little bit, nice and smooth. All right. Put that face down here. I'm gonna create some fins for either side of my little fish-shaped bowl. I don't need a lot, just need a little bit. Again, start with the ball, flattening it out with my fingers, and I'm gonna change the shape just with my fingers here. All right. There's a lot you can do with your fingers. I am gonna add a little bit of water to that. Let's see if I want this on the top or on the bottom. I think I'm going to put it on the bottom down here. So, scratch, scratch. And then I'm going to scratch here. And then I'm going to add water so that I can attach them. Where'd my other little piece go? There it is. All right. And I'm gonna press these two guys together. And I wanna make sure I have, always wanna make sure I have a finger on the inside when I'm pressing it in so it does not distort or change the shape of my pinch pot, because I wanna keep the shape. If I just push it in, it's gonna flatten it and change the shape, and we don't wanna do that, okay? So, then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just start smoothing everything out. And if your finger isn't working, grab your pencil tool and use that to smooth things together, okay? Nice and simple. All right, have fun.